Hello everyone, thank you for being here and welcome to lesson number 10 of A Course in Miracles. My thoughts do not mean anything. This idea applies to all the thoughts of which you are aware or become aware in the practice period. The reason the idea is applicable to all of them is that they are not your real thoughts. We have made this distinction before and will do so again. You have no basis for comparison as yet. When you do, you will have no doubt that what you once believed were your thoughts did not mean anything. This is the second time we have used this kind of idea. The form is only slightly different. This time the idea is introduced with my thoughts instead of these thoughts, and no link is made overtly with the things around you. The emphasis is now on the lack of reality of what you think. This aspect of correction process began with the idea that the thoughts of which you are aware are meaningless, outside rather than within, and then stress their past rather than their present status. Now we are emphasizing that the presence of these thoughts mean that you're not really thinking. This is merely another way of repeating our earlier statement that your mind is really blank. To recognize this is to recognize nothingness when you think you see it. As such, it is a prerequisite for vision. Close your eyes for these exercises and introduce them by repeating the idea for today quite slowly to yourself. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. The exercises consist, as before, in searching your mind for all the thoughts that are available to you, without selection or judgment. Try to avoid classification of any kind. In fact, if you find it helpful to do so, you might imagine that you are watching an oddly assorted procession going by, which has little, if any, personal meaning to you. As each one crosses your mind, say, my thought about does not mean anything. My thought about does not mean anything. Today's thought can obviously serve for any thought that distresses you at any time. In addition, 5 practice periods are recommended, each involving no more than a minute or so of mind searching. It is not recommended that this time period be extended, and it should be reduced to half a minute or less if you experience discomfort. Remember, however, to repeat the idea slowly, applying it specifically, and also to add, this idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. Okay, that's lesson number 10 of A Course in Miracles. My thoughts do not mean anything. Yeah, and the reason why my thoughts do not mean anything is because the claimer of I, the apparent owner of thoughts, the apparent thinker of thoughts, is never there, nor are the thoughts it thinks. So the purpose of this lesson is to help the apparent mind to recognize that when it appears to be thinking, it is actually engaging with nothing, and therefore entertaining illusions. That's why the Course says that the ego mind is insane, in that the ego mind entertains what is never there. And so by doing this lesson, the apparent individual is being trained to realize that he has a compulsive habit of thinking, which is keeping it preoccupied with meaningless thoughts, with nothingness, and seemingly losing its peace. So your apparent thoughts don't mean anything because they are illusory, and that's why the purpose of this lesson is for the apparent you to notice that you are spending this vacant, clear, spacious moment cluttering your mind with meaningless thoughts, illusory thoughts. And the reason why this is worth mentioning is because we don't realize how much time we spend on this compulsive habit of thinking, and how much we seem to suffer as a consequence. So start applying this idea to whatever seems to be disturbing you. For example, my thoughts about what people think don't mean anything. My thoughts about my body don't mean anything. My thoughts about money don't mean anything. My thoughts about me don't mean anything. My thoughts about the material world don't mean anything, and so on. And you might say, oh, these lessons are silly, or you may think that these lessons are a waste of your parent time. But be certain that these lessons are laying the foundation for the recognition that the individual mind is an illusion, just like its thoughts, and that the only reality is the self within. And so these lessons may appear to require effort at first, and it is normal if you find resistance. But be certain that to be present, meaning empty of thoughts, is effortlessly the natural state of oneness. This is just an illusory step in noticing that the activity of the mind is veiling the eternal. I hope you enjoy practicing lesson number 10. Please let me know if you have any questions, and see you tomorrow for lesson number 11. Have a wonderful day.